Disclaimer: the following video that you're about to view only contains audio only, as it's from a wrestling internet radio show. If you are looking for wrestling video footage, you will not find that on this video. This wrestling radio show may contain strong language that may be offensive to those under the age of 18. If you are under the age of 18, please get permission to listen to this episode. Enjoy, comment, and subscribe.
Live from the nation's capital in Washington, D.C., this is the RCWR Show with your host, Lee Sanders.
And welcome to the RCWR Post Show, coming at you live right now on December 9th, 2012. Black Avenger, as always, LS, Lee Sanders here, welcoming you all tonight. Hey, we got the chat room loaded up right now at blogtalkradio.com/the RCWR Show. Feel free to pop on in there as soon as you get a free moment. Also, you can interact with us during the course of tonight's episode by hitting us up at Twitter at Infinity1Prod. While you're at it, take the time out. Like us on Facebook. Been picking up a few new likes over the weekend. Mad shout out to those of you who took the time out. Check out our page. If you haven't yet, hit us up right now on Facebook at Infinity1 Productions. You know, as always, we're going to be opening up the phone lines as I want to get you all's reactions to tonight's pay-per-view from TNA Wrestling, as it was the final Resolution pay-per-view, 9th annual final TNA pay-per-view of this calendar year. Special shout-out to those of you that might be listening for the first time. If you happen to have seen the pay-per-view, hey, we love new callers for sure. We want to hear from you, get you all's take on whether you liked or disliked the pay-per-view. For those of you that were not able to catch it, you know how we do it over here. We're going to cover it all from top to bottom. So without any further ado, let's go on ahead. Let's jump right into tonight's pay-per-view. You know, a lot of anticipation for this pay-per-view. On the card, looked as if we had a pretty solid contest here. Looks like we had a pretty solid pay-per-view. But it didn't quite execute the way I was hoping it would go in a lot of areas, just mainly overall. It really kind of had me feel as though, man, it's a good thing that TNA Wrestling is dropping from 12 pay-per-views to 10 pay-per-views next month. I'll give you all my overall take on that, but as you can kind of hear within the first few seconds here, not really too pleased with some of the things I had saw for tonight's pay-per-view. You know, we had got a pretty solid opening to the pay-per-view, as we had got a really nice video package of Jeff Hardy chronicling his journey to the TNA World Heavyweight Championship for a second time, as he was talking about how that low point for him had came a couple of years back, and he's just been on that path of redemption since, and talking about how destiny has not quite figured out where he's going to be ending up, but that he's going to be continuing down this journey known as the path of the TNA World Heavyweight Champion. Meantime, it blends in so perfectly to what's been happening with Bobby Roode. Bobby Roode, it's been 5 months since he has last held the TNA World Heavyweight Championship. 5 long, grueling months where Bobby Roode is sitting up and he is willing to do anything and everything to get a hold of that championship once again. And as we all saw from Impact Wrestling this past Thursday night, looked like he had some type of a payment arrangement, some type of a deal with the Aces and Eights, as that gang of biker members, they proceeded to give Hardy a beatdown. So you're going into this pay-per-view wondering just how Jeff Hardy is physically and if he is indeed 100%. That's the setup for this pay-per-view tonight. You know, surprisingly, and it was a name that I had mentioned on our Call That Match special where we offered match predictions for tonight's pay-per-view. If you didn't check that out, highly recommend you go backtrack. Probably one of the best Call That Match specials I really put out there. I really took the time out, put a lot more thought process into how each match should play out, setting up what should happen on Impact Wrestling for the following weeks to come, leading up into their next pay-per-view. If you haven't listened to it, go backtrack, check it out. It's in our archive section. You can also check it out in the iTunes Zoom Marketplace. It's just use the keywords RCWR show. But, you know, I said it on this past Saturday special. I said, you know what, there's one name that quietly is not going to be making an appearance on this pay-per-view. Don't be too surprised if maybe he might pop up. Hey, maybe he actually might not even have, maybe he might actually have something to do with the Jeff Hardy-Bobby Roode match. Of course, I'm talking about the Cowboy, James Storm. Now, we did see James Storm. He actually kicked off the pay-per-view, came on now, was talking about how he saw what had happened to Jeff Hardy this past Thursday night. Looks like Bobby Roode has some type of a deal with Aces, and basically he's looking to kick Bobby Roode's ass. He's looking to deliver that last call super kick, do whatever he needs to do to try to help Jeff Hardy get the upper hand, walk out of the Impact Arena tonight, still the TNA World Heavyweight Champion. Well, we see Kazarian, of all people, come out, and Kazarian just starts mocking James Storm, talking about how he's nothing more than a drunk, broke-down, watered version of Toby Keith, telling him he needed to take his act and go riding into the sunshine, not sunset, into the sunshine. And we just see James Storm, he just blazes Kazarian up, telling him, hey, that is the best promo you can come up with. You've had all day to come up with a really great promo, and that's the best that you have. That was really pathetic. James Storm just telling him, hey, come on down to the ring. You can take Bobby Roode's ass whooping on his behalf. Kazarian not interested in having a match. Tells Storm that's not why he's even out there. Furthermore, hey, there's not even a referee, so they can't even make the match happen. James Storm telling Kazarian, don't need no referee. Just let's get it on. And James Storm, he just took the fight, took Kazarian, left the ring. They were brawling outside for a little bit. We did see a referee eventually come on. Now, two of these guys, they're locking up. They're going at it. Fight goes into the ring, and then it's on. Nice little short contest that we had right here. James Storm picking up the victory over Kazarian. You know, I give a lot of props to the Cowboy James Storm, because if I'm not mistaken, he's not at 100% right now. I know earlier this week reports had surfaced that he had a injured rib, I believe it was. I can't think of the extent of the injuries, but not to the point where he's going to be sidelined for a couple of months or anything like that, as you wouldn't even know it based off what you saw him do in the ring tonight. Wasn't his best outing offensively, but it was still pretty decent. You know, I thought that match-wise, and just to prepare you guys on how I'm going to be rating tonight's matches, I'm going to compliment the results that we posted at our website at infinityOneProductions.com, where we pretty much had adopted a match rating system from 1 to 5, 1 being the worst, 5 being the absolute best. You know, I'm not going to go verbatim. Ultimately, I am the one that, hey, this is how I feel. So to a certain extent, I may agree with what was said on the website, but, I'm just thinking about it in retrospect. This match, out of 5 stars, I would have to give this maybe a modest 2.5 out of 5. Could have been a little bit better, but, it was a nice little bonus match to get. I will admit that. Nice bonus match. All right, let's move along now where we saw the X Division title on the line as RVD had took on newcomer, recently signed Kenny King. Kenny King been with the company for a couple of months now, hasn't really been utilized, just gets thrown out of nowhere. I know a lot of people were wondering what was going on with Kenny King here. He just really came out of nowhere. A lot of people scratching their heads, not really sure who this guy was. Of course, Ring of Honor alumni, used to be holding on to the tag titles, and he signed with TNA a couple of months back, and the reason why you don't really know what's going on with this guy is because TNA haven't been using him on a consistent basis, so that's the problem that you have right there. So, this match right here, as I said this past Saturday on our Call That Match special, I say, when it comes to this match, unfortunately, there's no storyline that you can get behind, but nonetheless, it should be a great match because both of these two men, they possess a very similar style of wrestling, and it should be entertaining. That's what I said. I went on record. I said that, without a doubt, very highly entertaining match. I mean, other than the major difference with the skin tone, and the attire, these two guys, it was almost like they were wrestling themselves. It was almost like a mirror image. These guys were just matching each other move for move. I was really liking it. I was very pleased with this contest that we had right here. Now, we saw Rob Van Dam pick up the victory. That really shouldn't come as a shock to a lot of people. I know, fortunately, we had a lot of people on Twitter, Facebook, they were under the impression that Kenny King was going to become the new X Division champion, basically pointing out how, Rob Van Dam, he's done it all. He's held all the belts. He really doesn't need this belt. It's time for the younger people to start getting pushed in TNA. That's what a lot of people were looking for tonight. And any other time, I would appreciate that argument. I would be like, yes, that's the way to go. Unfortunately, you just didn't have any type of a story build-up for Kenny King that fans could really sink their teeth into and get behind, as this match was just thrown together pretty much at the very last minute. So, unfortunately, no, tonight was not Kenny King's night. And as I said on Saturday, the bigger picture that we all need to be thinking about right now is Jesse Sorsen, who should be coming back to the promotion very shortly. Remember he's supposed to be coming back sometime next year. And last we saw him, he's walking around, he's looking pretty good, was able to kind of turn his neck to the left, to the right. He's looking like he's almost at 100%. I would think we should see him right before spring. And I think the big payoff is going to be Jesse versus Zema Ion. I think ultimately what's going to happen right here is we're probably going to see in the next coming week Zema Ion just slide right back in to work a program with RVD, and it should end with Zema Ion getting that belt back. I would think that's really your big money maker right there. A lot of build-up that you can have going towards whenever these two guys finally lock it up. Hey, if they do it right, they could probably stretch it out right up until Bound for Glory, if handled right. Moving right along now, we had the tag team titles on the line as the Blueprint, Matt Morgan, teamed up with Joey Ryan to take on Chavo Guerrero Jr. and Big Super Max Hernandez. Here was a match right here where, I'm looking at this and I'm saying to myself, you know what, this has to be the night that Matt Morgan, Joey Ryan, that they get put on the map, that they officially get endorsed. And I know a lot of Joey Ryan fans were paying very close attention to this match. This was one of those type of matches where, I don't know. This match, it wasn't bad. I had a problem with the finish. And, of course, the finish to this match, very controversial, as we saw the match just end in a no contest. Now, here's pretty much what happened in the final few seconds of the bout. we saw Chavo Guerrero go to the top turnbuckle. He delivered a frog splash onto Joey Ryan. Referee was going for the 3 count. However, Matt Morgan was on the outside of the ring, recovering from a aerial attack earlier. And we see him grab the referee's foot, pulls him out the ring. Referee's like, what are you doing? Don't do that. We see Matt Morgan get a little bit more physical with the ref. Referee has no choice but to call for the bell. And we just see both tag teams just continuing to go at it. Now, we never do hear an official ruling that Chavo Guerrero Hernandez won the match. But, you're left with the impression that this match had ended in a no contest. And, I don't really quite agree with the ending, but it seems that maybe perhaps TNA management, they are probably thinking to themselves that they can probably milk this a little bit more. And, I'm for it as long as the end result is going to be Joey Ryan and Matt Morgan picking up the tag team belts. Otherwise, I don't really see the point of them continuing to work with Chavo and Hernandez. Real funny note right here. We had heard Mike Tenay talk about how Matt Morgan, Joey Ryan, they don't really have any chemistry. They're not really clicking, is what he went on to say when compared to Chavo and Hernandez. And I just heard that. I'm thinking to myself, Mike Tenay, what the hell have you been watching, man? They're like a bootleg version of Kevin Nash, Shawn Michaels, Brian Kendrick, Ezekiel Jackson. What are you talking about? You don't really see any chemistry. It's like, what are you smoking? Actually, I don't want to know what you're smoking. I probably already know what you're smoking. But in neither case, I understand they're trying to tell a little story there, but I just felt Tenay was a little bit wrong with that analysis. Maybe some of you might feel a little differently, but I thought Tenay was way off on that one. I must admit, Morgan, Ryan, they've been working pretty well together. They look good in the ring. They do make the team of Chavo and Hernandez a little more interesting, but, when it's all said and done, Chavo Guerrero, Hernandez, the momentum has really just not been going anywhere since these guys have been tag champions. Hopefully, come the next pay-per-view, which is going to be Genesis, coming on January 8th, maybe they can make things right. Maybe we can see the Blueprint Matt Morgan, Joey Ryan finally get a hold of these tag titles. But in the meantime, tonight, they weren't able to get the job done. Next match we go now, 4th match of the night. Oh, and by the way, for that tag team match for the tag titles, I would have to give that a 3 out of 5. For those of you that were curious for the RVD versus Kenny King, I gave that one a 3.5 out of 5. I thought that match was pretty solid. All right, 4th match now, Bully Ray taking on Austin Aries. I'm looking at this match. Great build-up, really great story that you can get behind. Of course, we saw the constant bickering that was going back and forth between Austin Aries and, leading up to this match, we saw Austin Aries in a backstage segment cut a really great promo with Jeremy Borash, letting JB know that as far as he's concerned, he looks at himself in the company as a big straw, and he's going to continue to stir things up within the company because he doesn't like the fact that Hulk Hogan continues to screw him out of opportunity to get back his TNA World Heavyweight Championship. Now, we also see Austin Aries sit up and bash those that are asking the question, why is he butting his nose in business that doesn't belong to him? He rebuttals saying, hey, Bully Ray had no business butting his nose in his business when he was trying to become the TNA X Division Champion a couple of weeks ago, and that basically Bully Ray has this beating coming to him. Now, you go to this match, and without a doubt, great encounter. Not as great as their first encounter, but I did love this encounter. This was really about who was going to be coming out, how was the story going to be told. You knew that Hogan and both Hogans, actually. You knew both of them were going to play some type of a role in this match, and that's exactly what was the case. We saw critical moment where Bully Ray, he's pretty messed up. He's bloodied, and we see Brooke Hogan. She comes on now, very concerned girlfriend. Hey, who wouldn't be? She's coming out trying to see if Bully's okay, and we see Austin Aries. He grabs her head and just brings her into the ring. You know, she's scared in a turnbuckle, just on her knees, just kind of sobbing a little, not really sure what's going on. And we see Bully Ray, he starts attacking Austin Aries. Big Granddaddy Hulk Hogan comes on out, and Bully Ray tells the Hulkster she shouldn't be here. You got to get her out of here. She has no business being here. Go, get her out of here. Hogan, looking on, he just takes Brooke by the hand and just takes her onto the back. Bully Ray still looking on, while what he really should have been doing was focusing on what was happening inside the ring, as he gave Austin Aries just enough time to recover, attack him from behind, pick up the victory. So Austin Aries, once again, defeats Bully Ray. For those of you that are keeping track at home, when it comes to these singles matches, hey, Bully Ray, 0. Austin Aries, 2. Moving on with our next match, which saw the TNA Knockouts title on the line as the beautiful and the lovely Cougar, Miss Vixen Tara, took on Hardcore Country Mickie James. Once again, you couldn't really get into this match because you know in the back of your mind, Velvet Sky is just lurking around the corner. And it was just so convenient because as we see the video promo for Mickie James, Tara, we're reminded literally that Velvet Sky made her return. And, you know, I'm all for the way that they sold that, but you kind of got a little bit of a prelude of things to come for this week's episode of Impact Live, as Velvet Sky said apparently she doesn't have to be concerned about politics or waiting in line. She doesn't have to do any type of paperwork. Basically, she's going to get her match. So yeah, that's all she would say. So hopefully a little bit more details can be revealed, should be revealed this coming Thursday. But you hear that, you're like, okay. So you have that in the back of your mind is where I'm getting at, where you're watching this match between Mickie James, Tara. Another great encounter by these two lovely ladies. Like I said, I always love it when Mickie James, Tara lock it up. They just have such great chemistry together in the ring, and I can't believe I'm saying this, but, you know, I actually found this match to be a little bit more entertaining than the James Storm versus Kazarian match, and I'm not just saying that. I'm not smoking anything. I'm just being for real with you guys. We always try to keep it real over here, and honestly, that's how good this match was. Enough time to really tell a story. Of course, we saw Jesse, Tara's main squeeze, play a very critical role in this match as he was trying to interfere several times. Mickie James, she was able to kind of ward him off. You know how Jesse likes to try to be all physical when it comes to these knockout matches. Shows you what type of a guy he is. But we did see Tara pick up the victory. Tara retained her TNA Knockouts title. Very interesting development right there. I'm very curious to see what's going to be happening next on Impact Live. It's so funny, though, because we had some people that were looking at this match, and we noticed quite a few of you had sat up and said, Tara, her mic work, she's been doing some pretty hilarious comedic stuff as of late, great backstage segments. The wrestling, though, it just sucks. I don't know what the hell you guys are looking at. Tara, you know, I will go on record, though. I will say this. Out of all the Mickie James Tara matches I've seen over the years, I will say this wasn't quite the best. So with regards to the match rating, scale of 1 to 5, I would have to give this match a modest 2.5 out of 5. I've seen better from them. It was decent, but I've seen better. And I won't say it was horrific. It was definitely better than the James Storm match, I feel, or at least close to it. Moving right along, we had the One Last Time match, which had saw AJ Styles. Correction. That match actually didn't happen next. I got my A's mixed up. It was actually Aces and Eights taking on Samoa Joe, Kurt Angle, Wes Brisco, Garett, Bischoff. A lot of you passionate listeners out there, as myself and Zed, we were paying attention to what a lot of you guys were saying in the Twitter feeds there. A lot of you guys passionately do not like Garett Bischoff. One of our followers by the name of Eric, I believe is his name, as he was engaging in a great conversation with Zed, went on record saying Garett Bischoff has no business being on television, has no business being in the ring, wasted spot. And I remember Zed, he kind of picked his brain a little bit and was like, is this because of who his dad is, or you're just you're just excluding that, and this is really about just he has no business being in the ring. And Eric said, yeah, he has no business being in the ring. He sucks. He's bad. And, quite honestly, I'll go on record, when Garett Bischoff first started off, I couldn't stand him. I didn't like the way he was being brought in initially because it really came off as if he was being shoved down our throats, especially when he was pairing up with the Hulkster, the Stinger, and you had them trying to put him over. And then you had Devon back when he was still a babyface. He was trying to put over Garett, talking about he's the future of the company and all that other good stuff. And it did look pretty bad at the very beginning, but I must admit, I think the heat had eventually got to Garett Bischoff and crew, and they realized that they were just doing everything wrong with promoting Garett, and they kind of put him on the back burner there. And, you just saw him in little backstage segments here and there, not really doing too much, mainly pairing up with Devon. And, it seems like every time you do see Garett Bischoff nowadays, he's always pairing up with somebody. They realize that he's still wet behind the ears and he has a long ways to go. And I think they're playing it smart by having him team up with various people. In no shape or form, when I think about how they're utilizing him now, back to how it was earlier this year, it doesn't come off like a forced push. It doesn't come off like, here's Garett Bischoff, we're shoving him down your throat. Now it's just like, oh, okay, it's Garett Bischoff, okay. Half the time nowadays, I actually forget that he's the son of Eric Bischoff. That's how, I won't say irrelevant because that's a poor choice of words to use, but that's just how much more I'm beginning to appreciate him for his dedication of improving his craft in the ring, and he has been getting a little better. But, the main guys that stole the show in this match, Kurt Angle, Samoa Joe, and I was really glad that they were involved in this match because this match, it a lot of times it felt like a snoozer. A lot of times it just felt like, God, would this match end already? And, I love the key parts in this match where Kurt Angle came in and he just did the German suplex to two of the biggest guys in Aces and Eights. He did a German suplex to Doc, and he did another suplex to, the second biggest guy in the group. But the way that he did these German suplexes, the way he just locked it and released it, I mean, he had these guys, and these guys are freaking 2 times bigger than Kurt Angle. He had these guys do a freaking flip. I don't mean, okay, here's the German suplex, you're now going to fall on your back. Kurt Angle, he just grabbed him, jerked back, released, and these guys actually did a little back flip. It was really awesome seeing that, especially with Doc. I mean, those 2 guys, very flexible. Was really loving that moment right there. All hell had broke out amongst all 4 of these guys, as eventually we did see all of them just get inside the ring, and they all were brawling. I know. Some of you guys are like, okay, please tell me that we had got a Wes Brisco, Garett Bischoff turn. Please tell me, Lee, somebody turned in this match. Unfortunately, nobody turned, as the team of Kurt Angle, Wes Brisco, Garett Bischoff, Samoa Joe picked up the victory. And at this moment, when I took a look at this, I said, hot damn, I hope something is going to happen, because you just had the baby faces get a win over Aces and Eights. And if you listen to our Saturday special, I went on record and said at this point you had to have something happen with this match where you had some type of shock value. Maybe you could have one of the guys reveal themselves, take off a mask, or maybe you could have Garett Brisco turn on Team Angle, or one of them defect over to Aces and Eights. But that's not even what had happened. So I was like Zed. I agreed with Zed as we were going back and forth. Say, you know what, night is still young. Aces and Eights, they got to play some type of a role in the main event match. And in the main event match, they did play a role. We'll get into that in a little bit. But again, the team of Kurt Angle picked up the victory. Match rating-wise, 5 stars. I'd have to give this match a 2.5 out of 5. Could have been a little bit better. I just really felt so disappointed that Kurt Angle and Samoa Joe were involved in this. I really would have preferred to see them in some other type of matches, especially, with their being paired up against created wrestlers. I really wasn't feeling that. Let's go now to the 7th match of the evening. Now it's our one last time match where we have AJ Styles taking on Christopher Daniels. Very interesting stat that was revealed leading up into this match. Apparently, somebody in TNA Wrestling, they did a little bit of number crunching. And, folks, the grand total of matches that Christopher Daniels and AJ Styles have squared off in comes to a total of 115 matches. I repeat, a total of 115 matches. And these two guys first locked it up, if I'm not mistaken, sometime there in early 2003, maybe just a little bit sooner. Or a little bit earlier than that. So, these guys have a long, long history together. They really have done it all, any type of match you could think of. And, leading up into this match, we saw a really kick-ass video promo just chronicling their long, bitter rivalry. And JB, he did talk respectively to both of these guys leading up into their one last encounter. And, on Daniel's side, Daniels went on record and said, he's faced AJ Styles in various parts of the country. That's a fact. He has beaten him a handful of times. That's a fact. But what's happening with tonight's match, everything that they've been doing since 2003 on, it's all been a prologue for tonight. That tonight, when it's all said and done, this is going to be the final chapter. This is going to be it. It's all about who truly is the best man. And Christopher Daniels, he puts a fact out there that when it's said and done, it's going to be him. He's going to be the one to defeat AJ Styles. You go over to AJ's side, and AJ tells JB and the rest of the fans watching that, for him, he's been through a lot, especially this year. He reminds us of the whole possible baby daddy drama that he had there with Claire Lynch. He talks about supposedly having a romantic relationship with TNA president Dixie Carter, not winning the Bound for Glory series. He just talks about a lot of things, but he talks about how no matter how much his back is up against the wall, he's always able to come through when it counts the most, and that tonight he's going to do it again, and he's going to prove once and for all that when it comes to him taking on Daniels, he always gets the upper hand. And, you know, despite these two guys going at it 115 times, now 116, now that tonight's match is in the books, you know, these guys never disappoint. Whenever these two guys lock it up, they always have a five-star quality type of match. If they've ever had a bad match, I don't know nothing about it. It must have happened at a house show or something. But these guys, they always have a five-star quality type of match. And, you know, tonight was no different. They delivered, hands down, another great classic encounter. You know, I think true wrestling fans, even if these guys have gone at it X amount of time, true wrestling fans, they can appreciate two guys that just have really great chemistry together, you know, that can always just tear up the arena wherever they go, whatever venue they're visiting. When you got that magic, you just always run with it. It's very rare you can take two wrestlers, especially in today's modern age of wrestling. You know, it's very rare you can take two guys and have a lot of people always feel invested in seeing them lock it up every single time, knowing that their encounters always are never the same. You never get the same match twice. And, yeah, you know, we hear you guys, AJ Styles and Daniels, they take each other on so often. You know, we need a break. I remember one listener a couple of weeks ago, I can't remember who it was, you know, maybe it would be nice to see AJ Styles work with Kazarian for a little bit. We need a break from the Christopher Daniels. You know, like I said on Saturday, and I'll say it again, this was right up there with those Ricky the Dragon Steamboat, Ric Flair. You know, this is up there with the Harley Race and the Ric Flair. You know, it's up there like that. I'm not saying it's better than those. Don't get it twisted. I'm saying it's right up there with those respected matches. No matter how many times those guys lock up, it's always great seeing it. And that was exactly the case we had tonight. You know, let's pick it up. Critical point in this match. And somebody had pointed out that AJ Styles looked like he did one serious, bad blade job, as apparently he cut like just a little bit over his eyelid, so I guess he was bleeding profusely. I kind of missed when it had happened exactly what the critical moment was, but that's what we're hearing. We're hearing he cut himself pretty badly just above his eye. And, you just got the blood just running down. Nice, great touch to this match. But let's pick it up in the final few seconds of this encounter. We saw AJ Styles. He was getting ready to do the Styles Clash. And somehow Daniels was able to kick out and reach the corner of the turnbuckle. And basically he was kind of able to flip it. And then you see AJ Styles, he unfortunately kind of like landed on his neck, so it kind of bent like a C almost. So he's a little bit dazed, confused. He's trying to find his groundings. We see the referee. He's trying to check in with him, see if he's all right. But we see Daniels, you know, he realizes he's got a golden opportunity right here. And we see Daniels just hurry up, attacks AJ, hits him with the Styles Clash, AJ's own finishing maneuver. And, folks, shockingly, picks up the victory. And this just goes to show you this is exactly what needed to happen. What did I say Saturday, guys? I said, look, you got to have Daniels pick up the victory. This would give him such great boost because now you set up a really solid episode of Impact Live for this Thursday, because now you're going to have a beat-up AJ Styles come on out to the ring, and he's just really going to feel like he's not the same guy anymore. He's going to be so frustrated with everything that's happened this whole calendar year, and that loss to Daniels by his own finisher at that is just the perfect ingredients to send this guy over the edge and just say, you know what, I'm done. Hey, great swan song. because you know it's coming, and, hey, I'm all fine for it. That's exactly how they're doing it right now, and you can't really go past what was laid out tonight. I don't really see AJ Styles continuing to be around on Impact Television for a couple of more months. At this point, this is pretty much it for AJ, so don't be too surprised when you see him pop up on Impact Live this Thursday if he says something along the lines of he's done and he just walks out on the company, kind of leaving you the impression there that he's quit the organization, you know, and who knows, maybe he might come back to Aces and Eights. You never know. It could happen, but for right now, just pay attention to what I just said there right before Aces and Eights. Looks like he's done for now. Great boost for Daniels. Daniels is going to be able to come on now, perfect setup, basically sit up and say that he's the guy that not only beat AJ Styles one last time, but he made AJ Styles quit TNA Wrestling. Nice little touch to it. With regards to the match rating for this match, I would have to give it 5 stars. Very, very great freaking match. Probably the best of the night. I'll go on record even further. Better than the main event. Honestly, better than the main event. Which brings us to that match as Bobby Roode took on TNA World Heavyweight Champion Jeff Hardy, coming out in Christmas attire. Had the belts with him and one demonic kick-ass looking helmet. The guy was looking pretty badass tonight. And, you know, this match, you know, I had a little bit of concern with this match because I'm still thinking about last month how Jeff Hardy was in that brutal ladder contest with Austin Aries. What was that, at the Turning Point pay-per-view? I'm looking at this. I'm like, man, I wonder which Jeff Hardy are we going to get tonight. And, you know, for most of this match, we saw Robert Roode take the lead, and he was just doing a serious number on Jeff Hardy. I mean, Jeff Hardy was just getting his ass handed to him. But, you know, we ended up seeing a couple of bright spots here and there during this contest. You know, this was one of those matches I thought it should have been a little better. You know, because I couldn't help but look at it from Jeff Hardy's side. Nothing wrong with Bobby Roode. Bobby Roode was bringing it just like he always does. But there was something about things from Jeff Hardy's side that just kind of had me go, okay, he's really not, you know, into this match. And maybe that was actually kind of playing off of the injuries that he had accumulated from Aces and Eights on Thursday night. So maybe that's why we didn't get the usual Jeff Hardy at a pay-per-view that's usually running 100% full speed ahead. Let's pick it up with the critical point in this match, though. You know, we saw Bobby Roode look like he was about to come very, very close to taking out Bobby Roode on the outside of the ring, as he had looked for the poetry in motion, and that was pretty much the turning point in this match. Turning point, no pun intended. As we saw Jeff Hardy miss the poetry in motion, and his body landed on the guardrail and then had connected with the concrete floor. And, you know, we see Bobby Roode, he grabs Jeff Hardy, pulls him back in the ring, tries to go for the pin, gets a kick out. That's right, Jeff Hardy kicks out. So we see Bobby Roode, he's frustrated. He's not sure what the heck he needs to do. And then we see those damn Aces and Eights. They just come from out of nowhere. They're looking on, and Bobby Roode, he realizes they're there, and he's trying to distract the referee. And, you know, he's kind of looking at Aces and Eights like, okay, I'm doing a distraction. You guys come attack. And Aces and Eights, they are not budging. They're just looking on. And so we just continue to see Bobby Roode, who's looking very frustrated. Jeff Hardy, he's able to come around, deliver the twist of fate, retains his TNA World Heavyweight Championship. But wait, we see Aces and Eights, they get in the ring and they just start beating the living crap out of Jeff Hardy. And we see Bobby Roode, he's looking on. And after Jeff Hardy gets laid out, as everybody took turns beating him up They gave him one strong, devastating powerbomb. Must be the trend this month. December must be powerbomb month, because every time we go to WWE, we see the Shield powerbombing Ryback, Daniel Bryan, Kane, anybody that just comes in their way. Randy Orton, we see everybody getting powerbombed. And then we go over to Aces and Eights, and we see some power bombs of their own. It must be power bomb month. I must have not got the memo. But anyway, that's what they did to Jeff Hardy. We see Bobby Roode. He's pissed off. He's like, hey, guys, we had a deal. I paid you guys in full on Thursday. You guys are supposed to have my back tonight. What's going on? We had an agreement. Aces and Eights, they're just standing there. And, of course, we see Bobby Roode. He's directing all his frustration to VP. VP, he just starts attacking him, as well as the other Aces and Eights. Everybody just getting their licks in on Bobby Roode, lay him out as well. Your TNA Final Resolution pay-per-view ends with the Aces and Eights standing tall over Bobby Roode and Jeff Hardy. Very interesting development right there. Overall, with that match, I would have to give that match 5-star rating. I'd have to give that that's a tough one. That's a real tough one. I'd have to give that a 3.5 out of 5. I really would. So, if you've been listening so far, I gave AJ Styles and Daniels, that received the highest rating of the night. That match really was hands down pretty freaking solid. Shock value that came from that whole ending there with the Aces and Eights, I'd give that like a 2 out of 5. I was kind of expecting that to happen anyway. But, you got a nice little setup here. But, I'm with a lot of people on this. Where exactly is the exit for Aces and Eights? Because it looks like 2012 is going to end with no other big revelations coming from Aces and Eights. It's an angle that a lot of people are very frustrated with right now, as it looks like it has no end. It's like a maze, and there's just no exit. There's no correct path. Overall, I would have to give the Final Resolution pay-per-view, the final TNA pay-per-view of the year, honestly, I'd have to give it a modest 6 out of 10. And the way I'm grading that is, I was a little disappointed with this pay-per-view. I really thought this was going to be a home run pay-per-view tonight, and it really did not come off like that. And, we got to keep it real over here. Anybody that sits up and says, 8 out of 10, 10 out of 10. You've been having too much of those California pop brownies. You need to put them down for a little bit. And let's be serious here. A lot of rough spots for this whole pay-per-view. The greatest matches, it goes to Daniels, AJ Styles. Second place, I would go with Bully Ray, Austin Aries. That was a pretty solid match. Third, I'd have to go with RVD versus Kenny King. Last place, I'd have to put Roode versus Jeff Hardy. That match alone, that had the greatest potential to be a little bit better, but unfortunately came up just a little bit short despite the injection of Aces and Eights there. But, I was a little disappointed with this pay-per-view. It almost had me kick back and say, it's really good that they're going to be scaling back on their pay-per-views in 2013, because now I kind of see exactly what Dixie Carter is talking about when she says she cares more about quality and not quantity, and this is really a good case right here. But that's it, folks. Okay, so we're going to open up the phone lines just right after we come back from a brief commercial break, get you all's reactions for those of you that saw tonight's pay-per-view, give you a couple of quick programming notes, let you know that you guys still have a little bit of time to vote for your TNA Wrestler of the Year. We'll give you the details about that. You're listening to the RCWR Post Show coming at you on December 9th, 2012. 10 minutes before the midnight hour on the East Coast. We'll be coming right back, folks. Do hang tight.
thank you for listening to tonight's episode. If you enjoyed our coverage of the TNA Wrestling, then be sure to check out Impact Showdown Radio every Thursday night at 10 p.m. Eastern on blogtalkradio.com and at our sister website at infinityoneproductions.com for all the latest fallout from Impact Wrestling with the latest in TNA-related news and great live fan reactions. Tired of those wrestling websites that give you redirects, spyware, weird pop-ups? How about those misleading headlines? Instead of hitting the keyboard in frustration, why not visit infinityoneproductions.com? Infinity One is the source for wrestling-related news and so much more without all the hassle. Visit infinityoneproductions.com. Your keyboard will thank you.
Hey guys, the Black Avenger, Lee Sanders here. Hey, by chance, are you going to miss your favorite episodes of the RCWR show and Impact Showdown Radio as they're live in progress? Hey, that's not a problem. All you got to do is download the free podcast app in the iTunes store, and you'll be able to take all our episodes with you as you're on the move. That's right. Download it. Just search podcast in the iTunes store. It's a free app. Download it. And then from there, just search for our shows by typing in the keywords, the RCWR show. And then you'll be able to subscribe. It's as easy as that. So check that out, and you'll be able to play all our episodes on your iPad, on your iTouch, iPod, all smartphone, mobile phones, all portable devices. Also, if you haven't checked out the Stitcher app already, I highly recommend that you check that out as well, as that's another way you can check out our episodes, especially if you are always on the go. Stitcher, new and smart way to play internet radio. Black Avenger, Lee Sanders here, welcoming you back to the RCWR post show. So, yeah, as we said right before we went on commercial break, you still have a little bit of time to vote for your TNA Wrestler of the Year, as we'll be revealing who the winner is on a special year-end review episode that's going to be coming up on December 29th. It's the RCWR show. On December 29th, we'll take a look back in TNA wrestling, talk about what worked, what didn't work, what needs to happen going forward, and we'll reveal the winner on that episode. So voting remains open right on up until that day, actually. So feel free to cast your vote. If you haven't voted yet, you can cast your vote by hopping on over to our website at infinityoneproductions.com. And you can't miss it. Be able to cast your vote right there. You can also let us know who you pick by hitting us up on Twitter at Infinity1Prod. All right, so let's go on ahead now and let's open up the phone lines. Number to call, as always, guys, 646-478-3525. Once again, the number is 646-478-3525. Listen for the prompts. Get yourself heard live on the air, and then proceed. So, without any further ado, let's open up the phone lines. Let's go to our good buddy Dave from the Michigan area. Dave, you're live, my friend.
Hey, man, that TNA picking who's the best on there is so hard. I mean, you got so many people.
Yeah.
I mean, WE, it seems like they're CM Punk is in champion for 2012. But TNA, you got Hardy, James Storm, Bobby Roode, Austin Aries. It's like flip a coin.
You flip a coin. Hell, you need more than one.
I mean,
that coin better have a lot of sides to it.
I know, but it's like, who do you pick? You like eeny, meeny. You can pick so many people and not go wrong.
Yeah.
But getting on to tonight, I want to talk about 3 matches really quick.
Yeah.
First, I'll go out with the tag team, the tag match. To me, it was really boring because I'm not saying they don't have. I do like the whole Kevin Nash Shawn Michaels comparison, but to me, TNA broke up Magnus and Samoa Joe way too fast. They were a great tag team. They had potential to be Beer Money, a new version of Beer Money.
Mm-hmm.
And a month they were broken up.
Yeah.
I mean, they were so good as a team, and it's just like man, and they're nowhere near. I'm sorry, but I'm not feeling Chavo and Hernandez. I think they should have been Kaz and Daniels in that match, honestly, as the champs, if not defending them or something. Mm-hmm. Because, and I'll touch on that, which the match was disappointing how it ended, because who wants to see a DQ when you pay money for a pay-per-view, honestly?
Exactly.
Do that on TV. You don't do it on a pay-per-view.
Yeah. And
to touch about AJ and Daniels, I was talking to my girlfriend. I'm like, didn't we go to a TNA house show last September? And we did, and it was AJ Styles versus Christopher Daniels in a 30-minute Iron Man match.
Wow.
And it was just this was a year ago when they were doing this all. This was when they were doing, I beat you one time, so I made one Impact, and that was it. And it's been going on forever, but they put on some phenomenal matches. I mean, that match was awesome there. I lost my voice at that event, and that's how awesome that match was.
Yeah, that was a really solid, yeah.
I mean, some really good matches. I mean, those two can really go, but we're just people are getting so sick of the match.
Mm-hmm.
And I do like how they did the whole have Daniels beat him, and now you got AJ going what's he going to do now?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe we're going to see a Cowboy James Storm thing, it kind of seems like.
Mm-hmm.
Which I'm getting so sick of seeing these guys wrestle their best friends. I mean, you guys just branch off already and fight different people. It's like on Impact especially. If you notice that, what was that, 6-man tag?
Mm-hmm.
Jeff Hardy was the only. Was it Jeff Hardy in it? Yeah, Jeff Hardy was teamed with
James Storm.
With James Storm and AJ versus Bobby Roode. Yeah, it was the only one who shouldn't have been in that match was Jeff Hardy. All 6 of those guys are friends, or 5 of them.
Yeah.
It was really? I mean, these guys are all best friends. They keep fighting each other over and over just because they love each other.
Right. One big dysfunctional family.
I know, but it's we all know, honestly, they're all best friends, and they all just keep fighting each other back and forth. It's come on. Mm-hmm. And the last part about Jeff Hardy, I was really hoping that they were going to do this, Jeff, on Impact, I was like, are they going to do this? I thought they were going to do Jeff Hardy gets beat down so bad, like Sting, where he's incapacitated.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, we're going to get a world title tournament. That'd be freaking awesome.
Right.
I mean, because ever since that Rock Bottom pay-per-view, we all loved those, tournaments like that.
Yeah.
I mean, that was one of the biggest, championship pay-per-views, and people just want to see tournaments.
Right.
Like playoffs or whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, after that match wasn't that great either. A lot of people were disappointed on it, which it could have been better, but the last time they've had a match, was it really that good?
The last time who had a match?
Roode and Jeff Hardy, honestly.
Their last encounter, I must admit, it was better than what they did tonight. I'm just thinking about it, and I know maybe there's just that part of me that's thinking in the back of my head that Jeff Hardy was probably trying to sell what had happened on Thursday. But, even if you were to just remove that for a moment, I think whatever had went down with him at the last pay-per-view, I don't think he's fully at 100%.
But let's not look away from Austin Aries and Jeff Hardy's chemistry in the ring. Yeah. I mean, they are just awesome. I mean, Roode and Aries had a good match, too.
Yeah.
But it's it's been Hardy and Aries. They had that almost similar styles. And then Jeff goes back to kind of like Bobby Roode as the ground wrestler compared to the high-flying. it can change a little bit too. And TNA better keep these guys in check because Roode and Storm are the kind of guys that Vince McMahon wants, so they better watch out.
Yeah, they better. Overall, what would you give the pay-per-view?
I think I would go with you about around a 5 maybe. I mean, the matches, AJ Styles and Daniels is the best match, but it really shouldn't have been.
Yeah.
But, yeah, that's my big thing. And one more quick thing about the title thing. You noticed how as soon as your contract's up, you get a world title, you get the title? That's the same thing happened with Aries, I believe.
I've been noticing that devastating trend that's been happening in TNA there. And it's a trend that's known for. I mean, I don't have a problem with it, and Dave, thanks for that call. I don't have a problem with that. I understand that. The name of the game is basically, look, if you stick around, look, we'll do this for you. We'll toss you a little bone. We'll make you feel a little special. We'll give you a little bonus. Come on, stick around. And, it's very interesting. I said it on Saturday. I said, if Jeff Hardy retains the belt, then consider the negotiations that he and TNA Wrestling are having, as his contract is going to be up very, very shortly. I said, look for the negotiations, considered to have been going smoothly so far if he retains this month, because if there was ever a time to strip the belt away from Hardy, this was the month to do it. Now, you still have January, because, we don't exactly know an official release date. All we know is early next year, like first quarter, that his contract is supposed to be up for renewal. And obviously it was a really big deal because these guys started aggressively trying to get Hardy to re-sign, I believe, as early as about maybe 3-4 months ago. So that kind of lets you know how serious this is for TNA Wrestling. I don't have a problem with that, but the thing that I do have a problem with is, these guys that have these contracts that's kind of like on their way out the door, it looks like, and they haven't been relevant for a few months, and then just out of nowhere, they just get a push because their contract, I know I respect the name of the game, but, I just wish, sometimes, if a push is going to happen, it just happens, and you just go with what's going to happen as far as the contract negotiations. And, if that person wants to stick around, hey, fine. If not, all right, so be it. Then do the right thing, drop the belt at the next pay-per-view or whatever like that. I mean, look at what went down with Devon there. That's a really great scenario. The contract negotiations didn't work out too well, as both sides weren't able to come to a mutual agreement. And did we see anything weird happen with Devon, like him taking the title over to another company? No, we didn't see anything like that. On the contrary, it actually turned out there was a couple of weeks there where he did not sign a new TNA contract, and they were scrambling, trying to figure out how to get something going, and they realized that the wrestling community knew via internet that he was no longer under contract. So, they really kind of had to not really acknowledge it, but kind of acknowledge it. You guys know what I'm talking about. So, it's very interesting how this all works a lot of times, But when it's all said and done, no matter if it's in wrestling or boxing or even at your job, we see these type of moves happen every day. And, hey, I respect the game. Sometimes I don't like the tactics that's used, but, hey, I respect it. Good question that you had right there, Dave. All right. If you want to get in your call, feel free to do so. We got a few more minutes left on the show. Otherwise, we'll wrap it up a little early. Number to call is 646-478-3525. Once again, that's 646-478-3525. And, while we're waiting around to see if maybe anybody else is going to call right then, I'll say one last thing, which is we really appreciate you guys that took the time out to check out our Saturday special that we did over the weekend and the episode of Impact Showdown Radio that we did from this past Thursday night. It was one of the best, well put together episodes of Impact Showdown Radio that we've done in a while. I mean, we went all over the place. We were talking about whether or not Sting should actually go over to WWE, and if so, how should WWE utilize him. Great in-depth talk about TNA wrestling, cutting back from 12 pay-per-views to 10 pay-per-views, their now aggressive use of social media as they're beginning a new marketing campaign. And it's so funny because if you go to their splash page right now on Facebook, they've got the Twitter, they've got the Facebook, they've even included Pinterest. So TNA Wrestling, they've officially joined Pinterest now. And I think one of the people they have to thank for that is SoCal Val. As to my knowledge, she is one of the first OG TNA employees to have joined Pinterest. And for those of you that's not really sure, Pinterest works by invitation only, so not anybody can just join it. So looks like they've dominated with that now. It was a really great in-depth episode that we did from this past Thursday night. If you haven't checked those out, highly recommend that you do. Check those out. And, we got some big things that's going to be planned for 2013. I'm letting you guys know right now. We'll reveal a little bit more details going into Tuesday's the RCWR show, but we got some big things planned, and, we're going to go a little bit more edgier, I can promise you that, in 2013. And, I want to say this, and we'll open up the phone lines because we got one more person that wants to chime in their thoughts on the pay-per-view tonight. But, we got a lot of folks that don't really take this seriously. And, I always hear it every day. Lee, we got knuckleheads that claim they know how to cover wrestling, but it seems like they're just coming home from school just to get with some buddies and talk, and they aren't really selling. Basically, they suck, and, I'm really sorry you guys have to put up with stuff like that. But, if you're that frustrated, it should make you even more passionate and determined to want to stick with shows like ours that's always going to try to keep it real, not be too hardcore serious. We try to be laid back over here, but, this ain't no kiddie show, and, this is my message for those that, want to try to sit up and they want to try to chat with me, or, they want to try to follow the show. And, I get this all the time. You can't emulate what I do. I've heard some of you try. Unfortunately, you're not doing a good job. Here's an idea. Just be original. Just be yourself. Find your own little niche. That's my message. And that's as far as I'm going to go with that. But we got some big things that's going to be planned for 2013, and hopefully you guys will be able to join us for the ride because it's going to be pretty freaking solid. That's pretty much going to do it. I want to thank, as always, the many listeners that tune into our episodes, especially our post shows tonight. Thank you guys for checking this out. Thank those of you that took the time out to interact with us, whether it be in the chat room or you called into the show. We appreciate the support as always. And hey, guys, let's do this again. Next time we'll be coming on is this Tuesday night at 11 p.m. Eastern. We'll cover the full fallout from WWE Raw. Also cover the very latest in WWE-related news. We have some major headlines, too. We're going to go in-depth as looks like Harold from Kane and Daniel Bryan's little anger management therapy. Looks like he got into a little bit of trouble over some anti-gay slurs that he used on Twitter. We're going to chime into that in a very serious, in-depth look. You guys will appreciate what I have to say about that. And also the checkered past now of some of these African-American male wrestlers that had some type of affiliation with WWE, don't know how to silence themselves and are saying the wrong things at the wrong time on social media. I'm going to chime in my thoughts, let you guys know what I think about this, and you'll definitely appreciate what I have to say. So join us for that this Tuesday night at 11 p.m. Eastern. Hey, something new that we're going to be trying out now is if you have a wrestling question, you want to pick my brain on anything, you can email us at infinityOneProductions at gmail.com. Once again, that's infinityOneProductions at gmail.com. Submit your wrestling questions, and from time to time, we'll actually dedicate a portion of the show to answering your wrestling questions. So feel free to fire away. Subscribe to us in the iTunes, Zoom marketplaces using the keywords The RCWR Show, and that is going to do it, folks. Till we hear from you this Tuesday night, Black Avenger, Lee Sanders, hoping you guys have a very safe and pleasant weekend and a good work week ahead. See you next time, folks. Do take care.